Coach, a month from now, what would growth look like for your room as a whole?
Hopefully there's a ton of growth. Through 2 days, it's been really good, though. Kenny, Steve, and CJ, even though it's kind of been abbreviated practices, have all been really good. I'm happy with the growth from last season to this spring. I think all three of them have total command of the offense, being in their second year in this offense. It's nice to have some consistency there where guys can kind of build on the foundation from last year. And, I think it's a nice challenge, too, this spring, having a different defense to see structurally. I think it's going to challenge these guys, and I'm really excited for the rest of the spring.
What's the balance of developing but also letting them go compete?
Oh, they're going to compete every day. I think that's part of the development is those guys got to go out and compete. We got to put them in situations to see how they respond, to see how those around them respond. And that's the nature of the beast of our position. Is you got to go out there and make those people around you better.
How do you balance out the reps this spring?
It's going to be equal, and we're going to do our best to give everybody equal opportunities as far as overall snaps in a practice and also overall snaps with the first group and the second group. Where that at times can kind of get uneven is when you get into the scrimmage days and the call-up periods where the practices aren't necessarily scripted. So you and I are supposed to get equal amount of series. My series goes 16 plays because we go on a long drive. Your series goes 3 and out. It is kind of what it is at that point. So outside of those days, those will still be scripted to kind of get everybody the same opportunities as far as series. Outside of those days, it'll be all scripted out where everything's equal.
What will set guys apart? What are you looking for?
I told them, I met with all three of those guys on Tuesday, and to me it's about consistency and just building trust with your teammates and with the coaching staff that, I can't have 2 good days and then a bad day. It's about going out there and executing the offense at a high level consistently. And that's what I'm asking them to do every single day. And ultimately, we're going to judge them on everything: decision-making, footwork, accuracy. But at the end of the day, the decision-making obviously is a huge component of it, and just ability to move the offense and lead our offense.
For someone like Steve, who's had more playing experience than the other two, is that going to come into the decision-making process at all, or is it just the spring?
I think in the back of everybody's mind, anybody in any profession, if they've got experience doing something and have had success, that's going to give you a leg up. And Steve at least has that in his back pocket as a confidence builder. Hey, I've gone out and started a game, played really well, won a game. Every time I've been called on in a game, I've gone in and been able to hold the offense to the same standard as the starter. Those other guys still got to kind of prove that. But the proving ground is practice. So, again, they just got to go out and whatever opportunities they get, make the most of those opportunities and be really consistent.
CJ was an early enrollee, so he's been with the program now for over a year. How have you seen his development in his time here?
I told him upstairs, I'm really happy, going into this spring, again, second year in the offense, CJ's got total command of the offense. He understands run game, pass game, protection schemes inside and out. It's going to be about him going out and actually executing them. But I think he's to the point now where the offense is kind of behind him, and now he has the ability to focus on the defense. What am I looking at pre-snap? What adjustments do I need to make? Which is allowing him to play with great anticipation. And that's the continued growth I want to see throughout the spring. But that kid's going to prepare every day. He's going to know the looks, and I'm anxious to see how that continues to develop throughout the spring.
You mentioned Steve and CJ. You might as well talk about Kenny.
Kenny's the same way. Kenny's going to provide you the most athleticism in the room. Kenny's a really accurate passer. Kenny's also just a football guy, and all three of those guys love ball. They're going to be in there. They're going to study it. They're going to know the script the night before. They're going to come in with great questions, and at the end of the day, all three of those guys could start a lot of places in this country, and we're fortunate to have all three of them on this roster. And at the end of the day, the competition between those three is going to make this team a lot better.
Coach, what are your first impressions of your room 2 practices in?
We've got a lot of talent. We've got a lot of guys that can play ball. It's a deep room. My biggest thing, I just told the guys today, don't count the reps, make the reps count. because we're in spring. We're still in the process of learning, new teaching, new read keys, new, you know what I mean, a bunch of newness, right? So we talked earlier when we first got here being uncomfortable, and now it's time for us to be comfortable as a group, and I think we're starting to get to that point where they trust me, I trust them, and it's evolving.
And then with a guy like Jeremiyah, who's obviously on a natural scale, how do you kind of push in this spring?
Listen, my whole life and philosophy, how I grew up as a coach, it doesn't matter if you're a national player. You coach your best players hard. Because if you don't, you fell on that kid in that moment. He don't improve, right? Last year is last year. Nobody cared about last year. This is a new year. We talked about new year, new us. I wasn't here. Nobody cared what Jeremiyah Love did last year. It's what Jeremiyah Love going to do this year. So that's kind of been our mindset, because you have to have a growth mindset. Otherwise, you get complacent and you don't improve.
How have you seen him grow in these first two practices?
He's got to be the tone setter. If our best player practice hard, it makes everybody else practice hard. So that's been my challenge. You can't get comfortable. You can't get relaxed. So, and as a coach, I got to make sure I stay on him. The way he approached film study, I probably teach a lot different than the last coach. And so training his mindset to see things different. I got a big quarterback background, so I can teach him how the back end looks. So he's been eager. And it's been very refreshing when they ask questions in the meeting room, because that tells me they want to learn. They don't feel like they got it all figured out.
What will set backs apart in that level?
Set them apart? I mean, there's some guys that's just gifted in others with God-given ability. And there's some guys that got a work ethic that's going to outwork the person in front of them. And that's sometimes and they always be the best player. It's the hardest worker with talent. And you can win a lot of games with that guy because you're going to trust him, do everything you ask him to do it right. So to me, it's always about trust. Can I trust you to protect that quarterback? Because to me, everything started with blocking. If you can't run the ball, we recruited the wrong guys. So you got to be able to block, you got to be able to catch, you got to be able to do all those other things, and also play special teams. Like in that room, you have to play special teams. It's six guys on scholarships, right? All 6 guys can't be on the field at the same time. So it's to continue to challenge these guys to get 1% better every day.
At Penn State, you used a lot of different running backs. Obviously, you have a lot here at disposal too. How do you sort of balance having 6 guys in that room who could step on the field at any point?
It's tough. It's hard to go in a game and say you're going to play 6. To me, that's like impossible. Like, I can only go back to what I done in 19. I had 4 freshmen, hadn't separated themselves, so we were trying to figure out who was going to be the guy. And then eventually we had a kid named Jeremy Brown separate from everybody, and then became a star player. And then you kind of balance it. Even you got a star player, he shouldn't take every snap, right? He need balance. He need to be fresh for the fourth quarter. He need to be fresh for game-winning situations. So here we got a good depth because you got J Love, you got Jadarian, you got Gibran, you got Aneyas, and you got Kedren. All those guys played. You just got to find out how you're going to fit those guys. To me, J Love need to play. He need to be on the field third down. Aneyas does a great job. Gibran need to get better. Not Gibran, but Jadarian need to get better in that aspect, because if you want to play on the pro, you got to block. So my last job, I had 2 guys. They was 1A and 1A. I mean, they was both equally as good. So they played off each other. It was every rotation. I don't think that will be here. The players got to dictate that. Right now, I can't say how it's going to play, how we going to rotate, how we going to sub. I'm so far removed from that. We don't play for a while now. So it's all about just making sure every rep we take counts.
We got one more question.
How do you sort of work Jadarian back from injury? And I know he's full go, but simply just to get him back to his confident level?
You can even tell if he's hurt. I mean, he's been good. He hasn't missed anything. Like, we don't even talk about injuries. The guys know to communicate. The guys in the training room do a good job with that. Right now, we're all healthy.
Steve, where do you kind of want to see your game improve and grow this spring?
Yeah, I think for the most part, just being a complete quarterback, being able to handle everything that comes with it, leadership, extending plays, making all throws in the field, just overall growth is what I'm looking for.
And then the series in the Orange Bowl, how much confidence can that give you just going into a competition like this?
I already had confidence before that moment. It's great to go out on a stage and perform like that, but I was already confident before that, and it fuels a little bit, but I'm just looking forward to compete.
Your freshman year, you saw competition between 2 guys. What did you take away from that? What can you learn from the experience, kind of sitting back and watching that?
Yeah, the biggest thing is competition brings the best out of people, and it really just makes everyone better. Competition is a good thing. The world is meant to be competitive. Just seeing that competition and other competitions go on, you just watch everyone get better and grow, so it's really a great thing.
What do you feel your strengths are?
think my leadership, I think my approach to the game, my mental intangibles, I think those are one of my strengths, or some of my strengths, and I can make every throw on the field, extend plays, pick up first downs, and lead an offense.
Back-to-back years with the same OC. How about trying something new like that?
That's great. Yeah, it's awesome. Having a staff that really cares about each other, cares about us as not just players but as people. It's great, to have some continuity in the offense and the verbiage. It's awesome. It just allows us to play faster, and especially the young guys, being able to teach them and get them going.
How is it, too, developing the relationship with the receiving corps, a lot of whom are back this year? How's that been going this spring?
It's been awesome. The biggest thing is just developing that relationship off the field. Understanding that those guys can call me whenever they need something, and we're always hanging out outside the building. It makes it easier on the field when we're competing, and really just the culture of this team and, the culture of the offense is special.
Are any of the young receivers kind of standing out yet at this point?
Jerome Bettis has done a great job. Elijah Burris, Jersey native. It's no surprise he's doing his thing. But all those guys that have come in, Scrap, everyone that has stepped up and started to make some plays. It's been great to see them and get more reps. And Coach Brown just does a great job getting them up to speed and just watch them go out and compete.
What would it mean to you to earn that starting role this year?
Yeah, be everything. Yeah, that's the ultimate goal. Be everything.
What has been the message from Coach Guidugli as you guys just sort of get started here in the spring of trying to separate yourself or whatever it may be to try and win the starting job?
Yeah, you understand you're in a competition with guys in the room, but really the biggest competition is you versus you. Other guys' reps shouldn't impact you. It's your reps. You focus on yourself and understand every day you're just trying to improve, and with that, gradual improvement just comes, and just through competition, everyone will get better.
Kenny, how are you a different player going into this spring than last spring?
Yeah, I would say as far as like the years past since then, I definitely feel more comfortable, and I would say more in control and just like closer with the guys on the team.
And then from the outside, you kind of touched on it. It looks like you guys have healthy relationships within the room. What kind of allows for you guys to have that?
I would say just like, you kind of see Notre Dame as a whole, like everyone in the locker room is close-knit. Notre Dame only recruits the kind of guys that can come here. So I feel like just like with the coaches bringing the right guys in, it's easy to click with them. We're all friends with each other. It's like no harm, no foul. We're just, boys just kind of growing up together.
What do you feel your individual strengths are in the quarterback position?
I would say my accuracy, playmaking ability, and I'd say probably those two.
Coach said that you said you can run as well as Riley Leonard did.
Maybe a little better.
Well, how do you like Coach Denbrock's offense now in the second year, and do you see it getting more comfortable for you?
Yeah, definitely. Because when I first got here, obviously Tommy Reese and then Jared Parker was my first OC. So having 2 back-to-back years, I know I was literally talking to Steve about it the other day. This is his first time having 2 OCs in back-to-back years, so it helps. Just coming in from, we were playing football 2 months ago, having the same playbook, being around the same coaches for the most part. It definitely helps it gel and click quicker. So.
Just overall, how do you kind of feel like the competition is right now in that quarterback room?
I'd say it's pretty even-keeled. We're all just trying to focus on ourselves. So not really looking to the guys to the right or left, but just focus on what we can improve on. So.
And what can you improve on?
As far as the pass goes, I would just say decision-making. I feel like that goes with every quarterback, just making smart decisions and not putting the ball in harm's way. So.
CJ, how do you kind of block out the competition and just go play ball?
Yeah, I think I've said it from year one. Like every day, you just kind of come in here and try and get better than you were yesterday, and so that's the mindset that I've been going on for a few years now.
And then you've always taken pride in being a leader and everything. But were there a couple takeaways from Riley last year that you learned about college ball? For sure. I said upstairs, like Riley's one of the best human beings that I've been around. He's just the way he treats other people, whether it's your teammates, the way he responds to failure is something that I've a major part of his game that I've taken.
What do you feel your strengths are?
I think I'm a good quarterback, probably.
No, as a position, though. Not as a person.
Yeah. I think I throw the ball well. I can make all the throws. I'm athletic enough to do anything Coach asked me to do, too.
And then what are you working on this spring?
Just kind of continuing to hone in on decision making and making the right decision, understanding the defense, understanding what we're trying to do with inside the play.
Is that a little easier now that you've had an offensive coordinator for the same 2 years in a row?
For sure. I think last year it was new for everyone, so it was a lot for everybody. And this year, you're in year 2. You've kind of established what you want to do with the offense, and it's been really good to kind of come in and understand what we're trying to do right away.
What has Coach Guidugli told you guys about in terms of being that it is kind of an open competition about what he wants to see and ultimately to try and separate yourself?
Yeah, his message to us was the same thing. I said earlier, we're not, it's me versus me every day. It's Kenny versus Kenny. It's Steve versus Steve every day. It's not, you're not really competing against. You are, but, if you think that way, you're just going to, get in the snowball of comparison instead of just kind of focusing on what you need to accomplish.
From where you were last year at this time to where you are now, just where do you see the most growth for yourself?
Yeah, I think back to last year. I watched some of those just early spring practices, and I was all over the place. I was a mess. And it's very normal, just a new offense, really good defense, and mind spinning fast. And today was a great example of, I felt like I came out and ran the offense, knew what I needed to do, knew where the protection was supposed to be, and had a really good day.
And the injury and having to sit out, but yet having such an extended long season, how much did that maybe help you in your development?
Yeah, for sure. It definitely helped me, mostly physically. I think just the weight stuff that we've done and the arm care stuff that I've kind of implemented has helped me overall, getting faster, getting stronger, being able to throw more accurately. It's helped with everything for sure.
How does the arm feel?
Really good. Amazing. It feels better than it did before. I said it upstairs, I didn't realize it until I started really getting into some balls, but I can throw it further now than I could before, which is kind of I didn't want to get injured, but it's a blessing in disguise for sure.
Anthony, what's kind of been your Notre Dame experience been like for you so far?
I don't know. It's pretty simple. I think I've had a great time. The coaches are great, made great friends, quarterback room. Love being around all those guys. Kind of just been soaking it in every day, every week, every month, and just trying to get better.
And then what's allowed you guys to be so close in the quarterback room?
I feel like it started during fall camp. It was kind of just we're here all day. After we're done with practice, we just go up there, hang out, watch film, just talk. I feel like I have a good relationship with every single dude in that room, including Riley and Blake. Blake, even though he just got here a little bit ago. Just genuine people come here, and it's good to be around.
How much do you feel like a sponge in that room, learning from other guys?
Yeah, definitely got to be a sponge in that room. Obviously, you got a bunch of guys who know a lot about football coverages and stuff. I didn't know a lot about reading defenses until I got here, so taking that in from Coach G and Kurt, and then the rest of the quarterbacks too. It's I feel like every day I'm learning something new in there.
And then as far as Coach Denbrock being here for the second straight year now, for a lot of these guys, they have revolving door offensive coordinators. You've been able to settle in with him. How easy is it to learn his offense?
It's been great. He's got a great offense. A little bit complicated at first, but that's kind of what you expect when you come to a high level like this. But now being in my second year, just being able to keep the same offense and grow off it and learn more off it, it's been really easy for me. I've asked the other guys what it's been like. Steve has had 3 offensive coordinators, I think. Kenny's he had 2 in his first 2 years. So, I'm grateful that I've been able to have one and just, not have to learn a new offense every year.
Jeremiah, what are just kind of your first impressions of Coach Seider?
He's a really chill guy. Getting to know him more, starting to love him even more than I do now. It's really down to earth. He's a great coach. Brings a lot to the table. And I just look forward to, getting a better connection with him, learning more about him and his family. And he's just a chill guy.
What has he got you working on this spring to try to improve yourself?
He's trying to help us, get a better understanding of the defense. He used to be a quarterback's coach or a quarterback. I forget which one it is, but it's one of those two. So he knows, coverages. He knows what the defense is doing, what they're trying to scheme and do all that. So he wants us to get a better understanding of the whole thing, not just reading D lineman or reading the linebacker. He wants us to understand the whole thing because that could potentially help us to make decisions faster.
And then individually, what are you working on?
Me, I'm just working on my run efficiency, and I just want to be more of a get down, just go north type of guy. I can get a lot more yards doing that. I can test some people in their strength, whether they really want to hit. And other than that, it's just increasing my knowledge of the game, just getting a better understanding, trying to prepare myself for the next level, because when you get to that level, you got to be smart, and you got to have more of understanding of, just everything. You got to know more than just your job. And that'll help you get, farther and farther in your career, and hopefully you can play for a very long time. Just working on my running efficiency and know the game more.
What we saw Wednesday, you looked good. Do you feel good now?
I feel great. It's good to be back out there, just practicing in itself. My body feels great. Just making sure that I'm staying healthy and just getting better every day.
Are there any restrictions at all? Coaches kind of joke that you're the kind of guy he's got to, rein in at times.
There's no restrictions. It's just being smart, though. There's really no reason for me to go out there and just do everything. Just want to be smart. I want to keep everybody healthy, because you never know what might happen. We can go out there and we can be hidden, and somebody can come smash me or smash my knee or something. So we don't need that. Just being smart about it.
No hurdling this spring?
No, we save those for game days.
How does Coach Seider feel about the hurdles? Does he have any requests?
He actually ain't said nothing about it yet. Coach Seider, what I've starting to understand about him, he just likes you to go out there and just play and be yourself. So he's not gonna. I don't think he's not gonna. When you get out in an open space, try to coach you and do this and that. Just go out there and be yourself and do what you do and just make a play.
How much confidence does it give you to know that at Penn State you've worked with a handful of guys and played a bunch of guys, and obviously it's a similar way with Coach McCullough, but how much confidence does that give you with a new coach?
It gives me, I guess you could say, some confidence. I love, not just myself going out there and making plays. I love seeing the guys in the room do it as well. So, seeing that, he might, have that same philosophy as Coach McCullough. He might allow lots of backs to play. We don't know yet. At Penn State, he played two backs for the most part, from what I've seen. So we got a lot of talent in the room, and he understands that, and I just know that he'll handle that in the best way that he can, whether that be, two of us playing, three of us, four of us. I just know he's going to put everybody in the right positions to, have success and, make, this university look good and make the running back room look good and make the team look good.
From what you've seen of Jabron, how's he looking? Is he back to close to being 100%?
Jabron's 100. Really, everybody in the room is in tip-top shape. Jabron's Jabron has already been solidified as, a great player. It's just he was hurt last year and he's back now. Really no worries with anybody in the room. Everybody just got a great foundation, know what they're doing. Obviously got the freshman Nolan. He's coming along greatly. So seeing Jabron back out there gives us a little bit of just comfort. He was our third down back, I think, my freshman year. And having him back is another weapon, adding another weapon to the room. So, yeah.
And tell me about Jeremiyah Love Day in St. Louis. What was that like?
It was pretty cool. Me and Christian Gray got honored just for being homegrown talent. We went to great high schools, and we, in their eyes, we represent the city well. And it was really special to be honored on 314 Day. If you don't know, 314 is our area code, so they honored us on that day. And it could have been anybody. It didn't have to be us, but they chose us because of the great things we're doing on the field and off the field. It was a blessing, and it was an honor to be honored by the mayor with that. We got a little plaque, and just going to continue to do me and represent my city well, represent this university well, and then represent me well as well.
Darian, what are just your first impressions of Coach Seider?
Yeah, he's a cool, down-to-earth dude. At first, everyone has to earn your trust. Doesn't matter who you are, player, coach, and 2 practices in, about a month in, I feel like he's earned our trust, and he's a great coach. You've seen what he's done past decade. I trust what he's saying, and I've learned a lot in a month. So, yeah.
What's just kind of his teaching style and like the meeting rooms and his personality in there?
Yeah, first, one thing that really stood out is he's a former quarterback. So a lot of things that he says is in quarterback terms, and it really helps us understand the whole picture and think like a quarterback. Sometimes we don't need to. Sometimes it actually helps us. So I'm glad to add that to our game. So.
What sets you apart in that running back room? I know it's a close-knit group, but everybody's battling for playing time. So what do you feel are your strengths?
I think someone argue. I think I'm the most explosive in the running back room. Like you said, we all have our strengths and weaknesses, and spring is the time to work on your weaknesses, and I try to stay away from focusing on my strengths. Like, what are my weaknesses? What can I work on? And we're all doing that.
So what are you focused on? What are you working on?
Pass pro, slowing the game down. I feel like I get a little antsy at times. So, yeah.
How's Nolan kind of fit into the group so far?
Yeah, he's, just like any other freshman that comes in fresh out of high school. It can be hard. The college playbook is a lot harder and more intense than, high school and the schedule. So I feel him. I've been in his shoes before, but that's good that we've all been in his shoes before, and we can teach him the ways and guide him. But he's a really hard worker, and he's a great addition to the running back room, which is the standard is hard work and being disciplined. So he's a good addition to it.
Coach McCullough obviously played a whole stable of you guys, and Coach Seider did the same thing at Penn State. Like, how, from a rep standpoint, has that made it a little bit easier of a transition?
Well, like what you saw with Coach Seider at Penn State, it does make you a little bit more comfortable going into the season. Like, he plays multiple guys, and the success that those 2 running backs had at Penn State. I'm excited for the season, and I feel like we'll be able to do a lot more with the opportunities we're given.
Jabron, what's just kind of been like the last year been like for you, just working your way back and getting to the point you're at right now?
It's been really good, getting my mental back, physical obviously, really just putting in the work and, trying to get back on the field as quick as possible.
And then where were the physical improvements you were able to make, even despite going through rehab and all that?
I'm more lean, so I got more lean muscle. My knee is obviously back 100%. I feel like I just got stronger all around, got faster, mechanical work, everything like that. So I feel like I'm 100% ready to go.
What were you able to really kind of learn about yourself sitting out and watching this past year?
It was just a real mental game, learning the game at a deeper level mentally. Obviously the physical part is there, and the mental was there too, but just getting a stronger understanding, slowing the game down, everything like that. Just learning how to be patient, mastering patience, everything like that. Sitting on the sideline, it's not easy. So yeah, I feel like I mastered those.
Just sitting out, did you sort of learn more about how this offense works? Were you able to see it kind of from a different angle?
Kind of, in a way. Not really learning the offense in another way. Just like, I don't know, getting more details and just little things and stuff like that. Whether it's like pass pro or just different reads and stuff like that. And also being like a mentor to the guys that we're playing, learning from them, seeing what they see, and them still asking me questions. That was, nice and helped me understand the game more.
How do you feel?
I feel great. Yeah, thanks for asking.
And what's the relationship been like building with Coach Seider?
Our relationship is strong. I already knew Coach Seider. He recruited me out of high school, and so that was good seeing him being able to get this job after Coach D obviously leaving. And we basically just picked up where we left off.
What struck you about him when he first started recruiting?
Just the relationship he tries to build with you. He doesn't talk about ball. He doesn't talk about football. He cares about you as a person. And so him just wanting to talk to my family, meet my family, just know what I do outside of football, stuff like that, and have deep conversations and everything like that, similar to Coach D. That's why we click the way we do.
You said sitting out for this past season, it was kind of more of a mental game. How much now are you just so hungry to get back out there and feel like playing?
Yeah, I'm very excited. Sitting out isn't easy, and like I said, I've mastered that patience though, and so I'm ready just to get back and show what I can do and show that I'm the player I was before the injury.
Aneyas, how are you a different player this spring compared to last spring when you arrived?
Good. Just say knowledge and preparation, a little bit ahead. I'm no longer learning the basics really. Now I'm just mastering my craft and, the small details to separate myself.
And then what was just the last year like for you, just kind of stepping in early and then getting a little bit early playing time and then playing a national title game?
Yeah, it was just, good to get everything thrown at me. Now I can say I played in the biggest stages, played in the biggest games. So, it's a little humbling for sure coming into this year, knowing I played in the biggest stages already. But, it was nice to be able to, get my feet a little wet and everything. I just think coming in with a lot of experience in the year two is going to just help me.
And then the number switch, I know you were 22 in high school, but is there any meaning behind that or anything?
Yeah, I've always grew up Emmitt Smith fan, so 22. My birthday happens to be on the 22nd, so just a number I've seen a lot in my life, and then, had a great career in high school with it. So I'm going to stick to my roots, let all the Hannibal people, maybe they have some 22 gear back home, make it easier on them.
Aneyas, when you look at you talked about your experience, but the entire room coming back and just being that much better together, how much does that push you to try and move your way up a little bit?
Well, first of all, this group is scary, so, we'll start off with no matter what who's in, I really don't know. I remember seeing a tweet from Kirby Smart last year, just it doesn't matter who's in, and I think we're all coming in with that type of mindset. Obviously, reps are limited, so guys are just going to make the most of the opportunities and, let each guy compete, and no matter what, as long as we're competing, this running back room is going to be very talented this year.
Where do you feel like you need to improve the most here in your sophomore year?
Just all around, just being available at every position. Maybe a little bit more in the wide receiver game, pass game, out in space a little bit, and then just really overall just running the ball.
What do you feel your strengths are right now?
I think I'm a downhill runner. I think I provide that. Obviously get me out in space. I'm pretty elusive, and then pass protection, I think that's a big separator, and that's going to be a big thing. That that's what gets guys to the NFL. So I want to prevail on that for sure.
Kedren, what's just kind of your mindset entering the spring after kind of having some good performances last week?
Oh, just really getting better every day. Taking it day by day. Like I said, same thing I said last year. Taking it day by day. It's my sophomore year, so I've learned stuff from the guys last year, like D Ford, guys like him. So just learning from JD, J Love, all the older guys, and just keep getting better.
And then what are just your first impressions of Coach Seider?
Oh, great coach. Even he has great character, great man. We met his wife also. She was very nice, very sweet. So we love Coach Seider. We're going to keep on going.
I've heard he's low-key funny. Is that?
Yeah, he's funny. Like I said, he has great character for sure. He makes us laugh.
What do you feel your strengths are that you bring to the table for this squad?
I feel like I can do really anything. God-given talent, and then just stuff I learned from my coaches, footwork, pass catching, blocking, running the ball, like everything I can do. But that's just from, taking coaching and just, being, very attentive to what I'm learning.
It's a talented room. How do you work your way into getting playing time?
Like I said, really just learning from the other guys. That's how you get better. You don't get better just by going out there and just, lollygagging and just going out there just to play. I also want to learn. So I'm just learning from, the older guys, just incorporating that into my game.
Similar to Coach McCullough, Coach Seider used a lot of different running backs at Penn State. I guess how does that give you a little bit of confidence to know that you could potentially work your way up too?
I think the same way last year, like we had 3 running backs rotate last year, and even I got some playing time. So I think it's very exciting that even though we also have 6 running backs, we're all talented, and it's gonna be a great season, a great group. We're gonna go out there and work.